Hi, today I want to talk about emergency power. If you need something for charging or things like that, or to have lights and a light out, a power outage. Now this will only work during the day, but there's a reason it'll only work during the day, and I will tell you. I have my 30-watt solar panel here in the window. Now this can work in any apartment, any house, anything where you can get a window to put this in. You will not need a battery or a solar charger controller. Now you can see it is a real nasty day. The sun is barely out. The sun's right over there. It is barely out. There's clouds everywhere. And there's smoke from, I guess, wildfires from Canada or something. So, let's take a look. Now, my 30-watt solar panel is in the window here. I apologize. I will try to make this fast. No solar charger controller, no battery. Now I have the wire run straight up to this light. This has a LED bulb in it. I have it going down. I do have a fusible link or a fuse here. That is advisable if you're going to be charging things like phones. This setup will charge this phone that I'm using now. I mean, I've already tested that. I have a power bank here to 94%. Now, if you're going to do this, I'd advise you not do it this way. These cheap chargers, I believe are like 1 point or something like that. They're not very strong, which means they're slow chargers. So if you're going to do this, I advise you purchase one of these to use right there. Because if you're trying to charge something with a little bit higher amperage draw, that's a 2.1 amp and that's a 1 amp. The adapter in the house, I believe this is no higher than a 1 amp. So if you're going to do this, I advise you don't use it this way. This is what I had extra, which is a old cigarette lighter and this little cheap adapter that I've had for I don't know how many years now, but I've had it quite a while. Now I want you to see something. Now I have tested this on the phone I'm using now to record this on. It is a blue smartphone and it does charge. But if you have any other type of device that takes a little bit more amperage, I suggest you don't do it this way. I suggest you use the USB plug, the USB ports that I showed you that I have outside. Now, I have something charging. The sun is barely out, as you can see. There are clouds everywhere. What do you do if you get hit with an emergency situation, hurricane, tornado, and your power goes out? Well, some people will need to charge their phones. Some people have like power banks, things like that need to stay charged or be charged. What do you do for lights? Now, I've seen a lot of people have lights. I have lights like this that is charged with a solar panel. But the problem is, if I have to run this during the day, it runs to 5 or 6 hours. 5 to 6. That's it. Then it has to be charged. This will run all day if you need a light. This is wired straight from the solar panel. There is no charger controller, no battery. This is the best type of emergency setup I can give you as far as having some type of light during the day. So if you're in a home and say a tornado, hurricane hits, your windows are covered up, you don't want people seeing in your house because of looters, rioters, whatever, this would give you some type of protection against that, especially if your windows are covered. Because if people see lights on, they're going to know somebody's there. And if you have to charge things like a cell phone to call for emergencies, or like I say, if you have small battery pack here, Now, I can use this battery pack to charge up my MP3 player and other things. Now, remember, the sun is not out very good. You've seen the clouds. So, the light will work, but with the amount of power it's drawing in from the sun, the light may flick a little bit. That's to be expected. If I unplug this, the light will not flick at all. Once the sun comes out from behind the clouds, it runs perfectly. So if the sun is out, you will have lights literally all day long during the day. I've tested this. It is 8:07 in the morning. Last night, I ran this and tested it to about 9:30 at night. I understand it is summer, but if you get hit with something like a power outage and you need lights during the day, this will run your light all day long as the sun is out. And you can also charge things. A real simple setup. Solar panel. Light wired into the solar panel. Positive and negative. That goes down to your plug. I do advise you get a different type of plug-in adapter because this is a low-level adapter. It is like the 1 amp adapter. So I do recommend using the adapter plug I showed you outside. That will give you the 2.1 amps instead of just a 1 amp. This is a 1 amp, I believe. But it does work. It does charge. I have tried this phone on here, and it will charge this phone. All right, let's get some light in here. Turn this off. I'm gonna go ahead and unplug that. I don't need that plugged in. In fact, you see the lights still on. I'll just unplug that. I don't need that plugged in. That is so tight. Ready? As long as the sun is out, with enough sun, that light will run. That means if you are in an apartment, say 3rd floor up, 2nd story, even 1st floor, and your power goes out and nobody else has power, one single panel, a light, and you're good. You're good for all day long as the sun is out. You will not need anything else. No battery, no solar charger controller. Very simple setup. And like I said, if you have to charge something, let's turn this light back on. This is very, very old. I believe we got this from a dollar store. And I can't exactly, yeah, 1 amp. I believe I see the 1 amp there. Right in there. I apologize if you can't see it. It's too close. This is limited to 1 amp. So if you have something heavy, you will need a different setup than this. This is just, like I say, for an emergency. As you can see. Now, if I plug this in with the way the sun is behind the clouds, there's a good chance that will flick, but it will still be on. It is charging. Just so you know where the wires are going. This is not hooked up to anything else. Now you can see every once in a while that light may flick. That's because while this is charging, it's pulling some current into this, but the light's still on. And you have to take into account this. If the sun was fully out, not behind all these clouds, it will not be doing that. Now, if you're going to do something like this, the highest I recommend you go on your solar panel would be a 50 watt. Because I want you to see the back of my 100 watt. That's 18 volts at 5.5 amps. Think about that. That is a little too much to be running off anything without a solar charger controller. Okay? So 100 watt is just too much power to be wiring straight like that when it comes to small items. Now you could probably put fuses on there and get the power to go down some. That'd be fine. But, and it would actually work better on a day like this. But that's pretty heavy, pretty large. And if you're trying to hide away, not letting people know you're in a home, the smaller the panel, the better. Let's get back in here. Now, and once again, I recommend you do not buy what I have in there. If you want a setup like this, I recommend this. You can find these for like $5 on eBay. And if you want, you can hook up one like this. That's up to you. But you really only need this if you're only going to be charging USB stuff. No solar charger controller. No battery. And see, the light's still on. But you have to understand, it is pulling power into here. And with the sun being behind the clouds, it's not the best. The larger the panel, the more power it will produce. That is true. But if you're going to do that, fuse everything. Put a fuse on the light. Put a fuse on your USB ports. Fuse everything with a larger panel. You have to get that down. Like I said, I recommend you don't use anything that large. Having it wired straight, especially if you're trying to charge things like your phone. I would recommend nothing higher than a 50 watt. But that's just me. 30 watts seems to work good. I did do this yesterday. The sun was out nice and bright. The light did not flick at all. Now you can see it has a little bit of flick to it. That's because there's seriously not enough sun because it's behind clouds. But I mean, I could handle this. An emergency situation, if I'm trying to charge stuff, I could definitely handle this. The larger the panel, the more power, the better the sun, the more power, the more lights, the more stuff you can hook up. This is not to be used every single day unless it's an emergency. I mean, you don't, well, I guess you could just walk over here and plug stuff into your USB to charge it. I guess you could. But to me, this is an emergency thing. And see if I unplug this. The reason it's doing that with the light is because the sun is so much behind the clouds. On a good day, it doesn't do this. On a good day, I could have an extra light plus charge this down here. Just on my 30 watt panel. But think about this. In emergency, no power, no lights, no nothing. You're going through batteries, you're going through flashlights. You're going through all kinds of stuff to try to get some light in the house. There's your light. As long as the sun is out, that is going to work for you. Okay, that's it. I'm fixing to go. Everyone have a good day, and I hope this helps somebody out. Remember, no charger controller, no battery. Wired straight to the panel. A light that will last literally all day long, every day. If you don't need the light, you turn it off. And then if you want to charge something else, right there. If the sun is out, I would not need to turn the light off, which I really don't now. I mean, it is charging. The light is working. I just don't like the little blink thing when this kicks, but it does work. It would stop doing that when the sun came out from behind the clouds. You know, it's up to you. This is an emergency situation type thing. I apologize. The video is already 15 minutes. Right there, there, and my panel's in the window there, the small 30-watt panel. Now I can use this panel to help charge my power stations if need be, but I wanted some way to have a permanent light that I can use if the power goes out during the day, because we do have stuff over the windows. You may not. And then we have stuff like this for at night. Stuff that can be recharged the next day. We have stuff like that. This will give you light. Or if you don't need the light, you can hook up more things like this to be able to charge more USB stuff. That's up to you. Alright, that's it. Everyone have a good one. Bye.